Hello, and welcome to the second installment of Three Things Thursday with me, Kristen Dibble from Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Today I'm going to speak with Scott Helms from Helms Home Inspection, and he's going to talk with us about what are the most common issues he finds when he's doing an inspection, what are some of the biggest red flags that he wants to make homeowners aware of, and then also how you as a seller can get your home prepared for the inspector to get his job done. So let's spend some time talking with Scott. Thanks so much for being here. All right. Hello. I'm here with Scott Helms of Helms Home Inspections, and he is a great resource of things for as you walk through thinking about getting your house ready to sell. He will be happy to tell you what things you might want to get ready to for your inspector to be looking for. But today he's also going to help us answer a couple quick questions. So, Scott, the biggest one is what's the most common thing you find during a home inspection, and how easy is it usually to correct?
Well, let me put it somewhat in perspective. Probably the first item we find, and it's because it's most of, is windows with leaking seals. Windows with leaking seals can be easily identified. Normally, they're cloudy looking. Sometimes you can see moisture in between the panes. They'll still function as windows. They're just not as energy efficient. And
Right.
then I guess the second thing behind that, if you don't mind me giving you three things, would
No,
be
sure.
commodes that are loose on the floor. And commodes that are loose on the floor need prompt attention because they can start leaking. If they're
Right.
sitting on like upstairs or sitting on a crawl space, subfloor, you can have water damage to the structure below. So you really want to get those things taken care of pretty quick. So leaking windows, number one, loose toilets, number two, and then maybe a distant third would be GFCIs that don't function correctly. That's ground fault interrupter circuit. And those are a safety item. You would definitely want to get those repaired by an electrician.
Right, right. And there, I see that a lot also. A lot of times in kitchens, they're not set up correctly.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. What do you see as biggest red flags during an inspection?
Well, I guess the first thing would be a red flag, anything that's structural. We
Hmm.
live in an area that has expansive clay, and that expansive clay, obviously where it gets its name from, it expands and contracts depending on how much moisture is in it. And it can wreak havoc sometimes on footings and footers and piers and crawl spaces. So if we see cracking in brick or cracking in foundations or piers that have moved, that's a structural thing. We need to get a structural engineer on there to determine what type of repairs need to be made. I guess something behind that, or maybe on par with it, would be any sources of leaking, be it from a roof leak, because obviously you got water coming in the house from a roof leak, or be it from a plumbing leak. You can have water that can cause deterioration and damage the structure also. So those are really big red flags. Behind that would be HVAC equipment that doesn't function correctly. Maybe it's
We want those
beyond
working
the
right now.
age of the equipment. That's right. That's exactly right. We're getting ready to hit hot weather here. You got to have that cool air blowing.
Yeah, it's about time. And then also, as realtors, we like to prepare our sellers with things that they can do to make sure that the inspection goes as smoothly as possible. So, what are some things that you would suggest for the sellers to do for you to make your job easier and make it less painful for all sides?
Well, with us, we have emails that go out to list agents with a list of things that they should advise their clients in preparation for a home inspector. And of course, we need access to everything. So, for some reason, people like to remove items from their house and then they clutter up the garage. We can't get
Hmm.
in the garage, and probably 80% of the time, electrical panels, water heaters, and things like that are in there. And if we can't get access to it, then we can't inspect it. And unfortunately, in those events, we have to exclude it if we can't get access.
Right.
Same thing, if we'll need to get in the crawl space. Sometimes people put a lot of clutter there, and it blocks, our inspection. Or the same thought would be for the attic area. We have to get up in the attic to check things out there. So any of those things should be clear with the easy access to those items, uh, garage, attic, crawl spaces. Some other things just to help the client would be, go around and make sure you don't have any loose toilets. Go around and make sure your faucets are not dripping, your windows are functioning, your doors are functioning correctly. Change out your filters because if we find dirty air filters in HVAC, we have to report that. You don't want that to show up on a report.
Right.
There's a number of other things. Remove pets from the house. Nothing more irritating than trying to do an inspection and you got dogs that are jumping all over
Right.
you. They should really be removed, not just kenneled, but if possible, remove those items. And then you
Right.
want
Put
to
them
have
in the
things
doggy
like remote
daycare.
controls. Exactly. Then you want to have things like remote controls for fans or fireplaces or whatever the
Hmm.
case may be. We will need those to operate those particular devices. It's good to unclutter the bottom of cabinets under sinks and what have you,
Hmm.
because again, if we can't see that, we have to say well, there's a lot of stuff in the cabinets that limited what we can see. We, as home inspectors, we can do no damage when we're doing an inspection, and
Right.
we really can't move personal items. So if there's a lot of personal items, that's going to limit what we can see. So it's better to have all that stuff removed and out of the way. But and then we see this quite often, and it's unfortunate because our buyer, our client is wanting a complete inspection. If we can't
Right.
inspect something because of clutter, we exclude it. And
Right.
then a lot of times they'll say, "Well, we want you to come back out." Well, trips cost money. We
Right.
pay our guys a good hourly rate, and it's expensive. So someone has to come back out. There's going to be a trip charge involved, and our client shouldn't have to pay it. The
Right.
inspection company shouldn't have to pay it. The seller should have had all those things moved. So we believe, from an inspector's point of view, that it's up to the seller to pay any trip charges.
Right.
But those things that we just talked about will definitely help clean up an inspection process and help things go quicker. Because the name of the game is let's get everything that needs to be done, inspections, appraisals, and the list goes on,
Right.
just to help the sale go smoother.
Keep
We
going
want
forward.
to, we hate it when exactly. You want to just keep moving forward. We want to take care of our buyer, our client, and also the seller. You don't want to cause problems there. So if they would just get on board and help themselves, really, if they're trying to sell the house,
Right.
it's best to have things where an inspector can get in and take a look at it.
Right. And I think everybody needs to remember that you work for the buyer in all situations, unless it's a pre-inspection for the listing. But so you're always going to do what's best for the buyer. And so I always
Working
appreciate
for our
that.
client. Yeah, 95% of the time it is the buyer. We do get some where a homeowner decides they want to sell their house and they want to know what the issues are beforehand. And we can do
Right.
those pre-list inspections also, but most
Right.
people do not do those.
Well, great. I know you've got to jump onto your next meeting, but I appreciate you taking the time with us today, and we'll see you guys soon.
Absolutely. You're a great agent to work with. You take care of your people, and it's a pleasure working with you, Kristen.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it.